Also notice, it isn't on time. Notice also, it's not in the mind, it's not in the memory, but also notice the desiring you is transcended. Why? It doesn't lie in your power to make the beauty of the setting sun manifest itself. You're not, no one's doing it. It doesn't lie in your power to make the sun set. By the way, it doesn't lie in your power to give yourself the experience of the eloquence of the setting sun this way. And so the desiring you and all that it desires is transcended. Years ago, there was a commercial by Sony, and it showed a father standing at the ocean with his little boy. They had their back to, and the sun is setting out over the ocean. And you know that moment just before the sun disappears over the horizon, that last second? So the father and son are watching the sunset this way. And when the sun disappears, the little boy puts his hand in his father's hand and says, "Daddy, do it again." See? So Daddy can't do it again. You know why? Daddy didn't do it. See? And therefore, the desiring you and all that it desires is transcended this way. Also notice how sensual the moment is. It's so sensual. But the moment you turn to grasp or be gratified by it, you fall out of the richness of it. You have to surrender and let it wash over you. I think this is the key to understanding what addiction is, trying to have this kind of thing this way. And so there we are. See? And I think all of us in our life from time to time, notice this is not ecstasy or trance or a vision. This is very delicate. It's very subtle. And so I think we all have these moments. I think we all do, now and again, we do. What happens with some people, this way, is the desire to abide in the depths so fleetingly glimpsed. Let's say you're watching the sunset and you realize times you get in the car and you get some groceries, you go home, you take out the trash, you get the mail, you're standing in the kitchen going through the bills and so on. And you remember the moment with the setting sun. And you ask yourself this question. This is the seeker's question. Why do I spend so many of my waking hours trapped on the outer circumference of the inner richness of the life that I'm living? I know the richness is there because I experienced it. Furthermore, I experienced it as homecoming. I belong there. I belong there. And we begin to realize in a way, in an attempt to keep up with the momentum of the day's demands, you get this feeling you're skimming over the surface of the depths of your own life, that we're suffering from depth deprivation, really. And what's especially sad is God's unexplainable oneness with us is hidden in the depths over which we're skimming. See? Why do I let the centrifugal force of the day's demand send me spinning out and away from the unitive mystery that alone is ultimately real and is manifested perfectly when I stand up and is manifested perfectly when I sit down? See? But I'm exiled from the divinity of myself and my nothingness of the God. I know it in my heart, and I don't like living this way. See, that's the seeker's question. It's the gift of a longing. It's the gift of a longing that you're powerless to consummate because it's infinite, but it grazed your heart this way. So how can I abide in the depths so fleetingly glimpsed? See, and another way to put it is this way: where can I find someone well seasoned in such things to help me stabilize in this abiding? And that's why it can be so wonderful to discover the mystics. Because when you listen to the mystics, they can tell they're talking about what's happening to you. And the reason you're moved by it because you already know it this way. But it's elusive, like there's a certain musical beauty or depth to it. It just rings so true this way. See? And so, but how are we to do this? Because we can't make these moments happen. When someone falls in love with someone, they're just smitten by someone. They're not satisfied with a serendipitous little glance in the street as the person goes by. Oh, there they are again. You want to stay with them forever this way. So it isn't like, I keep my fingers crossed for the next time, whatever. See, how can I abide? See, I put it in having directly experienced for myself the unitive mystery without which my life is forever incomplete. See? How can I learn to abide in the depths so fleetingly glimpsed this way? And this is the classical journey to the gates of the monastery. Or this is the classical journey to the gates of the ashram. This is the journey to the gift of the sangha. This is the Kabbalistic gathering, this way. But I also think it's communities like this, it's the gladdening light. Right? The Center for Action. Look at us sitting here together. I mean, how the hell did we get here? Put it another way. How has it come to pass that you've come to be the man or woman who's even capable of being concerned about such things? Seriously. Go figure. And yet here we are. And there's a kind of a recognition of each other, like a resonance in the room this way, of the sweetness of it, or the gift of it. So what are we to do this way? How do we do this? And here's the answer. Are you ready? Okay. No, here it is. It's publicly known, but often neglected. Is fidelity to the rendezvous. See? It's fidelity to the daily rendezvous. See, here's the thing. We can't make the moments of oneness happen, but we can freely choose to assume the stance that offers the least resistance to be overtaken by what we cannot make happen. Lovers cannot make their moments of oceanic oneness happen, but together they learn the stance that offers the least resistance to the oneness. The poet cannot make the poem happen, but the poet learns the stance that offers the least resistance to the flow of poetry occurring. The one committed to healing can't make healing happen, but they can assume the stance that offers to it. The one trapped in addiction cannot make recovery happen, but they can learn the stance that offers the least resistance to the higher power of achieving in them what they're powerless to achieve. And this is practice. And it has to be, meditation is any act faithfully entered into with your whole heart that takes you to the deeper place. Merton says, with God, a little sincerity goes a long, long way. And you go to the rendezvous, and when you start the rendezvous, you remind yourself that when it comes to oneness with God, to understand is to accept that you're infinitely understood. And you begin by reminding yourself that you belong to God, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat, like here I am, Lord. The childlike sincerity of love, really, this way.